8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The third reading of the budget 2022 passed in Parliament with a majority of 93 votes. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa assures that each and every dollar taken as a loan will be settled next year. 17 crops have been identified to be promoted locally to reduce imports. COVID update, 567 new cases and 18 deaths recorded in Sri Lanka today. Sri Lanka lifts the ban on foreigners travelling from 6 African nations. COVID vaccine card to be made mandatory to enter public places. In news overseas, Mexico truck crash, at least 54 people killed as the trailer overturns. And in sports news, Marlon and Root put up a third wicket stand as England fights back. Those are the headlines, and now more on to the details of the local news. The third reading of the Appropriation Bill 2022 was passed in Parliament with an amendment today by a majority of 93 votes. Announcing the results of the division, which followed the conclusion of the committee stage debate, the Speaker said that 157 lawmakers had voted in favour while 64 voted against. The Parliament was subsequently adjourned until January 11, 2022. The committee stage budget commenced on the 23rd of November and continued for a period of 16 days, including Saturdays. Today's parliamentary session kicked off at 9:30 a.m. and the third reading vote began at 5 p.m. The second reading of the appropriation bill was tabled in Parliament on the 12th of November by Minister of Finance Basil Rajapaksa, and it was passed by the lawmakers on November 22nd by a majority of 93 votes. The 2022 appropriation bill was introduced in Parliament by Finance Minister on October 7th. This is the 76th budget of an independent Sri Lanka. It is also the second budget of the incumbent government and the first presented by Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa. This appropriation bill was published in the Gazette on November 29, 2021 for matters relating to obtaining service expenses for the financial year 2022 from the Consolidated Fund or any other suitable fund with the provision and obtaining loans within and outside Sri Lanka. SJP parliamentarian Nalin Bandara said the loans taken during the Yahapalana regime were mainly commercial loans, but he alleged that the present government is involved in taking loans with high interest rate for unsuccessful projects. Mr. Bandara made these remarks while making a statement in the parliament today. Minister of Finance Basil Rajapaksa, during the final debate, stated that each and every dollar taken as a loan will be settled next year. The minister also said that the export income has increased largely during the latter part of this year. 17 crops have been identified which the local farmers could produce locally. Therefore, the import on those crops can be stopped in the near future. This will also help to save a lot of foreign exchange. Meanwhile, a project is initiated to attract foreign investments in various sectors in Sri Lanka. The Director General of Health Services has confirmed 18 more deaths due to novel coronavirus for December 9th, increasing the death toll in the country due to the virus pandemic to 14,573. According to the figures released by the Government Information Department, the deaths reported today include 9 males and 9 females. The 3 of the deceased were between the ages of 30 to 59 years, while the remaining 15 were in the age group of 60 years and above. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry announced that another 567 persons have tested positive for COVID-19 today. This brings the total number of coronavirus cases registered in the country to 571,239. Over 12,400 patients infected with the virus are undergoing treatment across the island, while the total recoveries has risen to 544,200. Deputy Director General of Health Services Susie Pereira said, although there are no serious damage done due to the spread of Omicron, the government expects to treat all patients affected by this variant. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
A range of unmatched benefits with People's Credit Cards from People's Bank.
And we continue with more local news. Sri Lanka has lifted the travel ban imposed on foreign nationals who had been to 6 countries in the African continent, says the Civil Aviation Authority. According to CAA chairman, foreign arrivals with travel history to South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Lesotho and Eswatini will not be allowed entry into the island nation. Following the detection of the highly mutated COVID-19 variant of concern Omicron, which sparked serious global worries, Sri Lanka moved to impose a ban on the arrival of foreign travellers who had been to the aforementioned African countries. But expert doctors say Omicron is not complicated as Delta. A person infected with Omicron will cure within 3 days. Accordingly, passengers with a travel history, including transit to these nations within the past 14 days, were barred from entering the island nation with effect from midnight on November 28th. Popular film director Sunil Somapiris has passed away. He has directed many popular movies. He was also involved in production. Mr. Sunil was 73 years old at the time of his demise. He was being treated for the broken legs due to an accident for a long time. Preksha Art Festival will be held from tomorrow to the 21st of this month at Tower Hall, Maradana. There will be 2 shows every day at 3:30 p.m. and the other starts at 6:30 p.m. The main objective of this show is to collect funds to promote the drama culture, which is severely affected due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This cultural show is jointly organized by the Cultural Affairs Department, Tower Hall Foundation, Sri Lanka Arts Council and the National Drama Advisory Council. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The third reading of the Budget 2022 passed in Parliament with a majority of 93 votes. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa assures that each and every dollar taken as a loan will be settled next year. 17 crops have been identified to be promoted locally to reduce imports. COVID update, 567 new cases and 18 deaths recorded in Sri Lanka today. Sri Lanka lifts the travel ban on foreigners from 6 African nations. COVID vaccine card to be made mandatory to enter public places. And that was the local news.
A range of unmatched benefits with People's Credit Cards from People's Bank. Discounts up to 60% and interest-free installment plans from selected merchants.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for tonight, Sri Lanka has lifted the travel ban imposed on foreign nationals who had been to 6 countries in the African continent, says the Civil Aviation Authority. According to the CAA chairman, foreign arrivals with travel history to South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Lesotho and Eswatini will now be allowed entry to the island nation. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission.
And in Watch Live tonight, health authorities have requested the public to follow health guidelines strictly as the corona infections crossed the 700 mark in the last 2 weeks. Director General of the Health Services, Dr. Asela Gunawardana, said that it is a high risk for the public to get involved with large gatherings or get-togethers. He requested the public to refrain from travelling between the provinces. He also pointed out that 600 to 750 corona patients are still being reported daily from the country. Therefore, he emphasized that the pandemic can spread rapidly again if the public acts irresponsibly. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Select technical and vocational courses with proper guidance. Visit regional career guidance centers or visit nearest district divisional secretariat officers and meet career guidance practitioners or skills development officers. Be aware on unregistered institute which promote widely. Don't waste your valuable time and money. Visit www.tvec.gov.lk for more information. Message from Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news. Mexico truck crash. At least 54 people killed as the trailer overturns. Bipin Rawat, India holds funerals for the top general and his wife after crash. Russia, Ukraine, Putin compares Donbas war zone to genocide. Those are the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the world news. At least 54 people have been killed and scores more injured after the truck that they were being transported in crashed in southern Mexico, authorities say. More than 150 people, said to be migrants from Central America, were crammed into the truck's trailer when it rolled in the state of Chiapas. One resident heard a man implore his badly hurt companion, "Remember what you promised your mother, hold on." India has held funerals for its top military commander and his wife in the capital Delhi. General Bipin Rawat, his wife Madhulika, and 11 others were killed in a helicopter crash earlier this week. General Rawat, aged 64, was cremated with full military honours. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, and chiefs of India's Army, Navy and Air Force have paid their respect to the victims. Russian President Vladimir Putin has been hardening his rhetoric after the situation in Ukraine, saying the war in the country's east looked like genocide. Russian-backed rebels have been fighting Ukrainian troops there since the year 2014, and tensions have been growing as Russia amasses troops on the border. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden discussed the recent talks with Mr. Putin in a call to his Ukrainian counterpart. There are fears that Russia is planning to invade Ukraine, which Russia denies. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Mexico truck crash, at least 54 people killed as the trailer overturns. Bipin Rawat, India holds funerals for top general and his wife after crash. Russia, Ukraine, Putin compares Donbas war zone to genocide. And that was the world news.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
And in development news, the Coconut Development Authority has taken effective measures to commence Coconut Triangle Centre in Jaffna Peninsula. The main objective of this exercise is to double the coconut production. The project will be implemented in Jaffna, Kilinochchi, Mannar, Mullaitivu and Vaunia districts. Around 5,000 job opportunities will be created through this venture. A new branch of the authority was declared open recently with the expectation of achieving this goal. And that came to you in the segment of Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on with sports news.
In sports news, in cricket, England's captain Joe Root proved why he is the top-ranked Test batsman in the world, while David Marlon continued his love affair with the Australian bowling as England fought their way back from the near oblivion to erase most of the 278-run first innings deficit and keep themselves in the game. And onto the scoreboard, England batted first and made 147 runs in their first innings and were 220 for the loss of 2 wickets at the end of the third day's play. Australia, in reply, made 425 in their first innings. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency through NSB U Trust for 6 months consecutively. Send more money and increase the chances of winning.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, SLT Mobitel's revolutionary mobile money transferring platform Mcash has joined hands with Lanka QR nationwide rollout campaign introduced by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, which aims to promote and popularize the digital payment methods among the merchants as well as customers. Following the campaign launch in October, a follow-up campaign was held recently in Tangalla with merchants and customers drawn to the event in large numbers. The key focus of this event was to introduce Lanka QR payments and educate both the customers and the merchants in the area on the benefits of Lanka QR as a method of contactless payments. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 Go sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
And in economic news, targeting on immediate promotional boost within potential Russian and Ukrainian winter holiday seekers, Sri Lanka Tourism has organized a massive media and influencer promotion in the months of November and December 2021, together with some high-profile media and influencer delegations with a combined media reach of 12 million audience covering both countries. Considering the current global travel trends, this is expected to be an important strategic move for Sri Lanka tourism for a speedy recovery. That is economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The weather report.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur over most parts of the island tomorrow morning. Showers or thunder showers will also occur in several places in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Galle and Mathura district during the evening or night. Fairly heavy falls, about 75 millimeters, can be expected at some places in these areas. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. Meanwhile, the international weather forecast website AccuWeather.com reports that the day's weather was observed to be bright with occasional showers. Today's daytime temperature was around 28 degrees Celsius. There will be light showers in many places in the Colombo district in the night. Tonight's temperature will be around 24 degrees Celsius and there will be scattered showers in selected spots late in the night. The ground temperature would be around 25 degrees Celsius at the time of this news broadcast. The air quality index is 24, which shows fair condition in Colombo. The air quality is generally acceptable for most individuals. However, sensitive groups may experience minor to moderate symptoms from long-term exposure. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. The third reading of the Budget 2022 passed in Parliament with a majority of 93 votes. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa assures that each and every dollar taken as a loan will be settled next year. 17 crops have been identified to be promoted locally to reduce imports. COVID update, 567 new cases and 18 deaths recorded in Sri Lanka today. Sri Lanka lifts the travel ban for foreigners from 6 African nations. COVID vaccine card to be made mandatory to enter public places. In news overseas, Mexico truck crash, at least 54 people killed as a trailer overturns. And in sports news, Marlon and Root put up big third wicket stand as England fights back. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of